Tyler Lunsford Magic asks, what is your opinion on bacon? Bacon is life. Hey there guys, Portalmaster9351 here, and welcome back to another edition of Ask Portalmaster. In today's episode, I'm going to be answering more of your questions, giving you guys a brief update on where I am as a channel, and just sort of going from there. Not much more to this introduction, so without further ado, let's get to answering your questions. Alright, today's first question comes from Wheelchair Guy Gaming TV. He says, I hate DC too. By the time you're reading this, you've hopefully seen Spider-Man Homecoming by now. What do you think? Well, yeah, I have seen Spider-Man Homecoming, and I was talking in the last episode about how I usually hate DC, but I really enjoyed Wonder Woman. At least I think that's how I was talking about DC in the last episode. I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, I did really enjoy Spider-Man Homecoming. I thought it was really well done. The plot was awesome. Please don't spoil it for people who haven't seen it yet, but I did really enjoy the movie. Shadow Dragon asks, what is your favorite hobby/thing to do when you're not recording YouTube videos or playing Skylanders? Really good question. I like watching YouTube, generally speaking. That's sort of how I entertain myself. I play video games and watch YouTube. I don't actually watch a lot of Skylanders related YouTube stuff. I actually watch a lot more science related YouTube. That's actually how I learn, probably more than anything, is by watching YouTube rather than going to school. So I learn more off of YouTube, and I really enjoy that. So that's actually what I do. It's kind of nerdy that I do that, but that is what I do. But I do also enjoy playing video games. I used to enjoy watching other people play video games, but I lost the appeal once I started doing YouTube, I guess. I don't know, that's kind of weird, but that's just sort of the truth. Grant Wascom says, is Skylanders 7 coming in 2018? I really wish I knew. That would be awesome if I knew. Unfortunately, I don't. I really hope it's coming in 2018. I'm fairly certain there is going to be a console game coming soon for Skylanders, but it may actually be early 2019 instead of late 2018, and I'm actually planning on talking about that in an upcoming video, but I am fairly certain there will be another console game, but it may or may not be in 2018. Techno Panda Girl says, this might be an odd question since you haven't played this game as much, but what are your thoughts on World of Warcraft? World of Warcraft is a pretty awesome game. You know, I didn't play it for long. I played like the demo. I played to level 20 just to say I had played World of Warcraft. I enjoyed it. The biggest downside for me is the fact that it was this massive, beautiful open world game, but the problem for me was it was too hard to progress in. It took way too long, I feel, to move through the world. I don't know, maybe it was just me. I just felt like it was tedious going from place to place. And I didn't really like the whole action system. I would have much preferred, like, you know, action-oriented hack-and-slash style gameplay rather than the slow, action-based system that World of Warcraft uses. I know I like Light Seekers, which is kind of like World of Warcraft, but I don't know. It's a little different for me in Light Seekers than World of Warcraft, but I did enjoy it to an extent. HAVK, however you say that, HAVK Fish asks, what is your favorite light and dark character? That's a really good question. For light, it's definitely Nightlight. For dark, that's such a hard question. I would say Blackout, but I don't actually have Blackout. So out of the dark characters that I own, I would have to go with Nightfall. Elbow asks, what is your opinion about new battle classes if there is a DLC or an expansion? I think if they decided to add some sort of a new DLC that added new battle classes, that would be really, really awesome. That would definitely give a lot more incentive for people to go out and buy new creation crystals, and I really think that'd be awesome if they did introduce a whole new class of senseis. I actually think that that would probably be one of the best things they could possibly do for DLC if they were going to do a year or two for Skylanders, which they probably aren't, but I think if they did, that would be a really awesome way to do it. Alright, so now I'm going to go to sort of the mid-month update. I have less to talk about in this mid-month update because there hasn't been as much going on this particular month as I originally would have hoped there would have been. I did put out a 23-minute video recently, which was very, very time-consuming on the editing side, and I've got more videos coming from the later half of the month. I've just been super busy, and I have not really felt like editing that much or recording that much, but hopefully I'm going to get more stuff out there, going to get another Skylanders Showdown and get a couple more Lightseekers Let's Plays out there. I'm really hoping to import Lost Imaginite Mines sometime next month. I was originally planning on doing it this month, but then I made a purchase of a new speaker for my room, and I sort of had to push the Lost Imaginite Mines on the back burner, but it is still something I'm planning on getting. So there's stuff coming for the channel. Don't worry about that. There's just, it's me getting motivated to do stuff. But you know, I'm not going away or anything. I'm not like taking a break. I'm still going to be here, still making content. I just got to get motivated to make more content. Probably won't be daily again for a little while until I've got a little bit more news to work with. But for now, probably every other day to every 3 days, expect some stuff. But yeah, that's just sort of the update for this month with the state of the channel. So let's get back to answering your questions. Our next question comes from UpGamePopFizz45. He says, my question is, do you think Skylanders is dead? Really, really good question here. No, I don't think it's dead. I do think we will get another game at some point, another console game. And that may be years down the road. It may be next year in 2018. I honestly don't know. But when I look at Skylanders, I don't see a dead game, especially when you have Eric Hirschberg saying in an interview, in his opinion, Toys to Life is not dead. To me, that means there's something coming for Toys to Life eventually. The thing with Eric Hirschberg saying that is probably the biggest piece of evidence that we have right now that Skylanders is not dead. And I think that's a big piece of evidence. And I really have to hold on to that and say, yeah, there's probably going to be something in the future. Shaky asks, hey Portalmaster9351, what are your thoughts on making Sunburn a Series 2 Skylander in the next game? What should his new Wow Pow be? Sunburn definitely needs to be a Series 2. He's the only character from Skylanders Spyro's Adventure to have never been released in any sort of subsequent game. You know, there's forgotten Skylanders from giants like Fright Rider and such, but none are more forgotten than poor old Sunburn. All 31 original characters except Sunburn have been released in some way, shape, or form. I feel really, really bad for him, so yes, he should definitely get a new post. You asked what his Wow Pow should be. I don't think he should get a Wow Pow. I think they need to redo him like they did the reposes in Superchargers and give him a whole new sort of method of fighting. Like maybe put some armor on him and just beef him up and switch up his attack style altogether. I really don't like the kind of Wow Pow method. I much prefer what they did in Superchargers, and so that's what I would prefer them do for a Sunburn remake. Ignite the Fire asked, Portalmaster, do you think they released too many characters for Trap Team, or were you happy with the huge collection we got from that game? Yes and no. Technically speaking, the amount of characters they released was not that bad, because Swap Force and Trap Team both had 2 sets for the gimmick. It had, so basically 2 swappers for each element, 2 trap masters for each element, 2 core characters for each element, 2 core characters for each element in Trap Team. Swap Force then had 2 reposes per element, but Trap Team only actually had a grand total of 5 reposes. So actually Swap Force is the one that, in my opinion, overdid it with the whole figure releases. There really only should have been 8 new core characters, 8 reposes, and 8 Light Cores in Swap Force. But in Trap Team, the biggest reason that was all screwed up, in my opinion, was the pricing of the Trap Masters when they didn't do anything. That was the problem with the figures in that game. The other problem was the way they released the minis. They never released them in single packs, which is what they should have done. I never got the minis from Trap Team because you had to buy old ones that I already had, and they had nothing new to them. They were just shrunken down versions. That to me was the problem with the figures in Trap Team. Another thing that's always confused me about the whole Trap Team thing is why there were 5 reposes instead of 1 for each element, which is what they should have done. So Trap Team's figures were just weird all around. I mean, it was okay, but I also think they overdid it with traps and such. I think there was a lot of issues with Trap Team, and at some point down the road, probably next month, I'll be doing a video explaining just what was wrong with Trap Team and why it is what started the downfall of Skylanders. But it's not exactly the figures, but it kind of is. So I'll expand more about that in the future. Eyebrawl27 says, Rattleshake, Cobra Kadabra, or Pit Boss? Okay, that's actually a really, really tough question. Definitely, to play with, I would have to go with Cobra Kadabra. I just really enjoyed playing with him. Now, Pit Boss is okay. I just really don't think he's all that cool. His figure's okay, but I don't know. Rattleshake, to me, though, has the coolest design overall, but Cobra Kadabra is the one I enjoy playing with the most. Dark Bones 001 asks several questions. I'm only going to answer one in this video, but I'll answer more in the future if you'd like me to. The first one that he asked, though, was what are your thoughts on older figures being more difficult to use in Imaginators? For me, it feels like everyone who is not a Sensei or Imaginator was hit with a Nerf hammer, then thrown into the pits of Rage Mage levels of weak, especially against the Barbarians on easy mode. I am not kidding, my level 20 figures from Superchargers, Trap Team, Swap Force, etc. can barely do above 30 damage to every enemy on easy mode, and it gets worse as the difficulty ramps up. I totally agree with you. So I never played that much with normal Washbuckler. I always played with Dark Washbuckler. So when I was doing my Skylanders Showdown and trying to get Washbuckler's upgrades, I was trying to level the normal one up in the arena, and it was downright impossible to do that because the enemies were just so hard and Washbuckler was absolutely terrible. So yeah, I feel like they definitely hit them all with a Nerf hammer, and that was definitely to encourage people to buy new characters, which is kind of a dumb move in my opinion to do something like that. But yes, definitely they all got hit with a Nerf hammer, then thrown down to Rage Mage levels of weak. The Forest Shadow asks, how do you record your iPad gameplay? That's also a good question. A lot of good questions today. I record it using my Elgato and an adapter that goes from HDMI to Lightning. So basically, I plug the adapter into my phone, and then it has an HDMI port at the end. The HDMI cord goes into the adapter, which goes into the Elgato. Then I plug a USB thing into my computer, which also plugs into the Elgato, and basically creates a thing where it goes from the iPad to the Elgato to the computer. That's sort of what the setup looks like. The adapter for the Elgato is really expensive, though. It's like $50, and it's so ridiculously overpriced. I got it for my birthday, and the Elgato is also expensive, so the setup I use is definitely expensive, but that is the way you'd want to do it. That's the best way to record iPad gameplay. Scott Harper said, I heard from one of your comments that Trap Team was the game where the Skylanders sales started declining and many of the fans got out of the franchise since. Can you explain why you think this happened and what do you think Activision should have done differently to prevent the downfall of the sales? Okay, I'm not going to explain that all in this video because that would make this video incredibly long. To explain that, I'd have to start from the very beginning about the development of Trap Team, which was completely screwed up. And I'm not going to go in that in depth. To clarify, though, Trap Team's sales were not bad. That's an important thing to note. The sales of Trap Team were not bad at all. The sales of Superchargers were bad. Now, the reason that Trap Team actually was able to sell well was because at first the game was good, but then it oversaturated with all the figures for the second year, actually really for the third year in a row. Giants had way too many reposes, Swap Force just had way too many figures, Trap Team had almost as many figures as Swap Force did that were released terribly. There were a ton of availability issues, and you had to buy so many Trap Masters to access everything in the game, and you had to get like all the traps, and the light and dark expansions weren't available, and more or less the people just got fed up with trying to hunt down these things and have to buy all these figures to access all these realms in Skylanders, and they just said, you know what, I'm not buying the next game. That's what happened. So Trap Team sales are not what was bad. Because Trap Team sold so well and everyone got to see all the issues with it, nobody wanted to buy more games anymore. That's really what caused the downfall. Your Self Productions asked, what is your least favorite Skylanders game and Skylanders figures? Wow, least favorite Skylanders game. That's a hard one. So, I disliked various ones for various reasons. Giants to me just felt like an expansion, to be perfectly honest. And I honestly think that they could have just released a DLC for the original Skylanders. I mean, it's one of the shortest games with very little replayability. It's got PvP, but that's not that great. You know, I mean, it's great, but it's like, that's the only really post-game content you had other than Brock's Arena Battle. So in my opinion, I think Giants was probably the worst game because so little effort went into that and it showed. But I think that might have been because the production team was sort of ramping up for Swap Force, which really fixed every issue with Giants that existed. So in my opinion, Giants was the worst game. As for the worst figure, that's a really tough question. I really don't like Series 1 Wrecking Ball. I didn't like him. Wrecking Ball in-game was bad, his figure was bad, and he's probably my least favorite Skylander of all time, Ghost Wrecking Ball. So, you know, that's my least favorite. But anyways, that is all I have for you guys in this particular video. Thank you so much for asking me all these good questions. Keep them coming down in this video. I look forward to answering them. If you ask me questions and I didn't answer them, put them down back in the comments again, and I will get to the ones that I did not answer. Or if you just want me to clarify, just tell me. Whatever you want to do it in the comments. But that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. Like I said, this has been Portalmaster 9351. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.